Biodiversity is the sum total of genetically based variety of all organisms in the biosphere. In other words, it's all aspects of life.
Ecosystem diversity is a variety of habitats, living communities, and ecological processes in the living world.
Species diversity is the number of different species in the biosphere.
Genetic diversity refers to the sum total of all the different forms of genetic information carried by all organisms living on Earth today.
Extinction is when a species disappears from all or part of its range. Some examples of extinct species are dinosaurs, the thylacine, and the quagga.
Endangered species are species whose population size is rapidly declining and will become extinct if the trend continues. Some examples are a tiger, the panda, and a polar bear.
There's a tiger, and I'm gonna kill it.
Oh no! Why'd you have to kill it? It was the last tiger.
Yeah! Hello! And welcome to Biodiversity News. I'm Cassie Kojin.
I'm Angie Razzo. We're going to be talking about the value of biodiversity and the threats to biodiversity. Biodiversity is important because it is one of Earth's greatest natural resources. It also provides us with foods, industrial products, and medicines like painkillers, antibiotics, heart drugs, antidepressants, and anti-cancer drugs.
For example, the rosy periwinkle is a pink-petaled flowering plant that comes from Madagascar and is used in drugs to treat certain cancers like leukemia. Hello! And welcome back to Biodiversity News. We're going to continue to explain the threats to biodiversity. So, human activity can reduce biodiversity by altering habitats, hunting species to extinction, introducing toxic compounds to their food webs, introducing foreign species to new environments.
This can lead to the extinction of a species or can cause them to become endangered.
Habitat fragmentation is the splitting of ecosystems into small fragments. Hi, and welcome back to Biodiversity News. We're going to continue to discuss habitat alteration and demand for wildlife products.
So for habitat alteration, animals that live in habitats must learn new behaviors in order to survive in new environments, or else they'll die. When habitats disappear, so do the animals that live there. Habitat islands are very different from large, continuous ecosystems. The smaller the island, the fewer species. For the definition habitat fragmentation, it splits ecosystems into pieces, and then those pieces become islands.
For the demand for wildlife products, for many years humans have pushed animals to extinction by hunting them for food and other products. Hunting has caused extinction to the Carolina parakeet and the passenger pigeon. Endangered species are protected today in the United States, but aren't in places like Africa, South America, and Southeast Asia. And people hunt them because they think that they have medical properties.
Biological magnification increases the concentration of a harmful substance in organisms at higher trophic levels in a food chain or food web.
Invasive species are plants and animals that have migrated to places where they are not native. Welcome back to Biodiversity News. We are now going to talk about pollution and introduced species.
So one way pollution causes the most problems with is the toxic compounds which accumulate in tissues of organisms. DDT was one of the first widely used pesticides. It was pretty cheap, remained active for a long time. It killed many insects and could control agricultural pests with disease-carrying mosquitoes. When DDT was first used, it drained into rivers, which created pollution, and DDT is non-biodegradable, which means it can't be broken down. When aquatic plants picked up DDT, it got stored into their tissue and killed the plants. When herbivores eat plants, the DDT can become concentrated to levels 10 times higher than levels found in plants. When carnivores eat herbivores, the toxic substance is concentrated further.
Introduced species is one of the biggest threats to biodiversity today. When humans transport plants and animals from around the world, they are introduced to new habitats and they become invasive and reproduce rapidly. This causes ecological problems. The reason that invasive species reproduce so rapidly is that the new habitat lacks predators and parasites that control the population.
Conservation is the wise management of natural resources, including the preservation of habitats and wildlife.
Welcome back to Biodiversity News. We are going to talk about conservation. Conservation is important because biologists want to conserve biodiversity. This requires detailed information about ecological relationships, like the way natural populations use their habitats. Conserving biodiversity can cause humans to have to change the way they earn their living today. For example, regulations put on fishing could make financial hardships for fishers for several years. By focusing on protecting specific ecosystems, biologists hope to preserve global biodiversity.
Conservation efforts are aimed at managing individual species to keep them from being extinct. Today, conservation efforts focus on protecting entire ecosystems as well as single species. Protecting an ecosystem will ensure that the natural habitats and interactions of many different species are presented at the same time. Protecting species and ecosystem diversity in many places around the world is an enormous challenge. Biologists often identify biodiversity as hotspots. Each hotspot is a place where a significant number of habitats and species are in immediate danger of extinction as a result of human activity.